3, 2, 1. I'd like to call the virtual Board of Public Works and Safety meeting to order Tuesday, April 21st, 2020. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Jessica Romine.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of minutes. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Public comment, we don't have any public comment here due to obviously the COVID-19 situation, but we will be streaming and we'll take some questions at the end of the meeting. Clerk Treasurer Parthun, claims approval.
Okay, we have payroll for 4/17/2020 in the amount of $395,408.91.
I move we approve the payroll.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0.
Okay, we've got Civil City, which includes April trash, April health insurance, and then there is a payment for site improvement for TIF 1 to Bluff City, you may have noticed. The Civil City claims are in the amount of $1,149,673.25.
I move that we approve those bills and claims.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0.
We have wastewater claims, April health, that includes April health insurance. There's also 2 demolitions for structures on A Street, you might have noticed, and then monthly transfer to sewage bond retirement. So the wastewater claims are in the total of $197,551.87.
I move we approve the wastewater claims.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? We're good with the demolition? Great. All in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0.
And then water claims in the amount of $204,671.48, which also includes April health insurance and the water monthly transfer for bond debt as well.
I move that we approve the water claims.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, or discussion? All in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Thank you, Clerk Treasurer Parthun. New business, Chief Paul Breton.
I believe everybody should have a copy of the resignation. We won't go into details on that, but there was an internal investigation and that officer resigned. Just asking that the board accept that resignation and then on the flip side, okay to hire the next one on our list.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second with that discussion, so we will be accepting the resignation and then including the opportunity to hire somebody new for LaPorte Police Department. Any discussion?
So no discussion, just so not to get into any sort of private matters, but regarding, because there was an investigation, is there any ongoing legal concerns?
Not if an officer resigns.
Okay, gotcha, all right.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. And Chief, are you looking at potentially an officer from that group that worked out at Purdue Northwest?
Yes, he'd be the last one. We had 3 that passed the background, and he's number 3. He's currently employed at the jail. We'll go ahead and get the letter of, get him going and get his intent letter, and then have him sent to the physical and psyche now, so we can get him going.
Great.
We currently have, the state has waived the academy for 2 years now, so we can get him over here and get him trained.
Could you repeat that? So the state has, what are they doing for 2 years?
It used to be you had to make it to the police academy within 1 year of being hired. They have now extended that to 2 years because they shut down the academies. We're going to try to trickle officers in as best we can. We have 3 that have to finish 5 weeks yet. Well, actually, now we'll have 4 that have to go to full academy. So we're sitting in a kind of an odd situation, but the state does allow them, once they're through field training, they can, well, actually after they have 40 hours pre-basic, they can work the street legally. And they've extended that to 2 years now instead of 1.
Also, as a separate note, it seems to be just being around in the community, especially on the weekends, your team seems to be very busy making stops and addressing the drug issue in the community as well as some other things. So good work there.
Okay, yeah, the drugs have not slowed down. Everything else pretty much has, except for violence. But that's to be expected.
Any other questions?
Chief Braden, so with that extension of what the state's doing for the academy, do you have any concerns about any officers that needed to complete that academy time? Or do you have any, are there any other options we might have to, I guess, kind of give them some additional or more robust, like virtual training in any way that might, I guess, accommodate that difference in between what they would be doing at the academy? Is that a concern for you at all, or do you feel pretty good about where they're at?
I couldn't hear real good the question, but I did
Chief,
know.
Mr. Kosher asked, are there opportunities for additional training for those officers that haven't received the complete state training? So maybe, not to put words in his mouth, we're not putting officers out into the field unprepared.
No, they're we're putting them through the full FTO program, which is 14 weeks in itself. So they're getting the training we give them anyway when they come back from the academy.
And the FTO is with another officer, so they're not out alone, correct?
No, they're not out alone, no. And they have to pass all, there's 4 stages of that. They must pass that before and then the FTOs decide if they're available for solo patrol. And even then, they'll be working with other officers. On the shift, but they have to be cleared through all those hurdles.
Yeah, okay. All right. Thank you, Chief.
Great, thank you, Chief.
Okay, all right, I'm going to go then. Thank you.
Chief Andy Snyder, request to declare SCBA's excess equipment and permission to donate.
Yep, Your Honor. Hopefully you received the letter and some of the background information for the organization that we would look to donate this equipment to. Just a little background to it. We had received a grant in mid to late 2018 from FEMA that replaced all of our SCBAs. Our SCBAs are the equipment that we use to breathe in fires and hazardous situations. And like I said, in 2018, we received this grant. We purchased those in early 2019. And so as you might imagine, the previous edition that we had of that equipment was from 2007. So nothing from 2007 matches the 2019 version. So it's left us with a lot of excess equipment. We have made several attempts through several different avenues to sell this and try to recoup at least a little bit of the money for the equipment, but those have fallen short. And so we're at a point right now that there are organizations out there, this one that we've specified here, that they will take that equipment, they'll pick it up, and then they will disperse it and train people in Central American countries. Usually this particular group specifies a lot with Guatemala, where they will distribute the equipment. And basically what it comes down to, it allows us to get rid of the equipment, allows us to help someone else who would not have the opportunity to do that, to have any of this equipment. A little bit of background to the 2007 equipment that we're talking about too, that was also purchased through a FEMA grant back in 2007. So the outlay from the city for the equipment, even initially, was very minimal, and that puts us, in another situation where we maybe can help somebody else out if the board agrees with this request.
So do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the donation of the SCBA excess equipment.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion?
Andy, what's the value of the equipment that's left that we're going to donate, the fair market value?
I'm sorry, I couldn't understand the
That's
question.
okay. What is the fair market value of the equipment we're going to donate?
We have tried to get around $10,000 for it, as we had a couple of interested parties, but it didn't pan out to that. So I guess if you had to put a number on it, that's what the vendors that sold us the new equipment were telling us a good possible price to get would be around $10,000 for this amount of equipment that we're putting out there.
Is there any liability for, it's going out of the country, but no liability there with regards to donation of older equipment? Okay.
Again,
Andy,
I'm sorry.
Chief Snyder, there's no liability of donating the equipment to wherever it's going.
No. Once we donate it to them, they assume all liability for it.
Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. And just while I have you, Chief Snyder, I want to thank Chief Snyder. He and I have come to an agreement regarding the boat, which was an important part of this, and Chief Snyder, recognizing the financial situation our community is going to be in based on this whole COVID situation. He and I have agreed that maybe we need to look at grants, alternative dollars to fund the boat, and I appreciate Chief Snyder thinking of the public, thinking of the community, and he and I are going to partner up to see where we can find grant dollars, other dollars to purchase a boat to replace their current situation. And Chief, just a shout out to you, thank you, and it makes a lot of sense based on the time we're in.
Thank you. Yeah. Glad we could work together on it.
Any other questions? Thank you, Chief Snyder.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Jerry Jackson, proposal to design lift stations Marquette and McClung, open bids for farm rent. Oh, I'm sorry, design lift stations Marquette and McClung first.
Sounds good. The Marquette Street project is a section of sanitary sewer along Truesdale, a new lift station, and it essentially replaces there's a very small lift station that serves a couple houses, about 4 houses over on Marquette Street, and it replaces that minor station with a station that then serves the Flaherty and Collins 200 apartments and potentially some more of Newport Landing. This project is needed in order that there's sewer service for the Flaherty and Collins project. It would be paid for by the Redevelopment Commission out of TIF funds. The proposal from Avon Marsh is $17,900, and that's down around 5% of the project total, which is just a kind of rule of thumb. 7 to 10% is a average kind of fee you pay. So this is a reasonable proposal, I feel, and I recommend the board approve it. Any questions?
Well, first I need a motion, and as I look to the clerk treasurer, can we put a motion in to include McClung as a part of this motion? Because I think, and then we can have discussion. So if I could have a motion that would include the Flaherty, or I guess Marquette Street and McClung Street as a combination.
So I'll move that we I'll move that we move forward with the engineering for Marquette and McClung lift stations.
Second.
I have a motion and a second discussion. Jerry, my question is, just from a perspective of learning about all this, what happens if we don't address the McClung situation? Because that's been around, that station's been around since 1970. What potentially happens if we don't upgrade?
Well, we've done minor upgrades over the years, like we replaced some of the controls, and it's not going to fall apart tomorrow. But the steel structure underground is rusted badly, and it needs to be replaced. It's designed was designed in a period where people didn't worry about confined space entry and harnesses and checking the gas, the air quality before you go down. So in order to maintain the station on a routine basis, you have to do a confined space entry. We don't build those sort of stations anymore, so the newer designs are much safer. So it gets us away from an old design and brings the station to a point where it'll run another. My goal is always to, when we get done rehabbing a station, it ought to run 20 years with relatively no work, no additional. And this is we've got about 30 stations, and my plan is always to rehab 1 to 2 a year, so that we don't fall behind and have an enormous task to keep the system up and running. And this one, because of its age and condition, is kind of next one on the list.
So we've more than received our life out of this one on McClung.
Oh man, those old Smith. This is a Smith and Loveless brand lift station, and I mentioned some problems with it, but they were first class, high quality, really good lift stations. They were expensive, but you got your value for your buck. They ran and ran and ran and ran. So yeah, the port did very well on this one.
Other questions?
So just so I understand, we're going to rehab the McClung lift station and then rebuild or relocate the Marquette Street lift station? Is it a rehab on Marquette, or is it more of a brand-new lift station?
Jerry, could you hear?
I'm having difficulty hearing.
Okay, so the question is, number one, is McClung a rehab? And number two, are you keeping the lift station, or it's going to be a new lift station for Flaherty and Collins?
The Flaherty and Collins project is a brand new lift station. The lift station over on Marquette that could potentially serve it is far too small and not suitable to serve a project of that size. So the Flaherty and Collins, the Truesdale Marquette project is all new. Back to McClung Road, that's an existing lift station, and we've done some things in the past where we've used pieces of the old lift station when you rehab it. In this case, the station is small enough and of such a design that it'll be 90% a new station. We'll use the old force main, the pressure pipe that pumps it up to the gravity sewer. We'll use the existing gravity sewer coming in, but most everything else will get replaced. It's almost like a new lift station for that particular one.
Other discussion?
Just so with I don't know if this sounds better for him. So with Marquette, the lift station would continue to serve those homes on Marquette that it currently serves, plus the Flaherty Collins development. Is there any, and I don't know if this is part of that, I can't recall from any contracts that we've seen come through, but there's no opportunity to, well, no, so that's being paid out of that TIF, right? So that's taken
Yes.
care of. And then, so Jerry, with regards to McClung, we don't have the funding lined up for actually doing the work, but what we're doing right now is just looking at having the engineering done, where we'll save some money by having them both done by Beaumarchais together. And then we'll worry about the funding for it later.
So the question, Jerry, is we just want to combine this with Abbenmarsh so we can get a better price, and then we're going to figure out the funding for McClung.
Correct. They were doing work in the same area, and would send a survey crew out, so we would save the cost of having 2 surveys instead of 1. In my capital budget, I've got dedicated, and I think the number is $100,000 every year to do lift station rehab. So the funding from McClung would just come out of that normal capital funding that does lift station rehab. And that's not. It's always a what is the priority kind of question. And so some years we'll spend quite a bit of money to rehab 1 station, and some years we'll do smaller bits and pieces of 3 different lift stations because that is a priority. And the whole goal is always reliability. So those targets always change a little bit from year to year, but it's using those capital dollars to keep the lift stations up and running.
Okay, and my other point more with the clerk treasurer's office, the clerk's office and myself have been working well on for the payment of the TIF or out of the TIF, you know, so that we understand with economic development, those dollars have to come off whatever we consider incentivizing for Newport Landing. And so it's worked real well that, hey, we're going to spend this on Flaherty and Collins, but don't count those dollars for the future because we're going to make sure we're taking those off the top so everybody knows where we stand from year to year and what's available. We might not be able to incentivize other deals at the rate we once did because we're focused on completing the Flaherty and Collins deal, and I think that's an important part that the clerk treasurer and I have been working on.
So to that end, will that lift station have some additional capacity in case there's any other needs in that, you know,
Jerry,
area
will
between-
that lift station have additional capacity for new builds in Newport Landing?
It will. We've put it in a location such that the AC Trust property that would be to the north of it could be served. I mean, it's not designed for built, but that's the plan, is put it right at a location. The AC Trust property could be served. The old foundry property could be served. And there's a little bit of the property on the north side of Truesdale that is kind of iffy whether it could be served or not, and it takes care of that. So it kind of completes sanitary sewer for that project.
Thank you. Any other questions?
When is the engineering likely to be done? Because I know they're supposed to start on breaking ground soon, correct, on Flaherty and Collins?
So if Flaherty is going to break ground in July, where does your timing have to happen, before, after, during, and time frame wise, are we in a good spot?
The 2 projects don't get in the Flaherty and Collins project can start construction, and we can do our construction independently and not be in each other's way. They'll build the sewers on their site, and we'll bring sewer over to the corner of the site. If we start doing engineering now and go to bid, we should be in good shape to have that lift station up and running by the end of the construction season this year, and that should be in enough time. We don't have a lot of time to mess around, but we got plenty of time to get it done to keep up with Flaherty and Collins.
Okay, any other questions? Hearing none, we have a motion and a second. All in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Open bids for farm rent. Jerry Jackson.
The quote should be there in the building somewhere, huh?
Our clerk treasurer
You
is...
got 'em?
Yes, our clerk treasurer, we have quite a few.
Okay, so Jerry, I am reading your email here.
Can you hear Courtney, Jerry?
I can.
Okay.
Why don't you take the phone?
I would request per Jerry. Jerry, I'm going to put the mayor's phone by me. So I would request per Jerry that we accept the highest bid pending legal review for these quotes. Would that be correct, Jerry?
Yes, there's it's late enough already in the spring that if we can save the farmers the few weeks it would take to bring this in front of the next meeting, they would appreciate that. And there's not a whole lot to review, honestly. They're just, a few dollars per acre. There'll be dollars per acre difference between the two, and that'll very likely decide. I do need a chance to review what they've written down, if they've gotten any comments or anything on their bid. But it's pretty straightforward. So pending legal and clerk treasurer in my review, I'd ask that the board approve the highest bid in that fashion, so that we can award it to the farmer here in the next few days.
Okay, so Jerry, I'm going to open the bids, and I'm going to read the name and the dollar amount out loud, okay?
Very good.
Parthene, how many bids did we get?
Four. Three. 1, 2, 3. Three. 3 bids. First one. The bidder is Steve Holyfield. And this is so exciting. The amount of bid is $4,000.
Okay. I expected dollars per acre, but I'll do the math and we'll figure it out.
Okay, let me see if he's got that. Unit price, $117.65 for 34 acres, it looks like.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. That's Steve. Yep. Okay, and then we've got excuse me. Got it looks like Adam Kramer Farms. $205 per acre. Okay. And then lastly,
All the acres,
Only the tillable.
I mean, they're all the
we
same,
have,
each farmer, all 34.
these all look different.
Is that what it is, 34?
I think that's,
Tuholsky Farms. And it looks like $200 per acre.
Wow, that was close.
You want to look over these just in case, Joni?
205.
I'm going to have Joni look them over real quick as well.
205, 200, 4,000.
Kramer
So
was,
Adam Kramer would be the high bid at $205 per acre. Is that correct?
that's what it looks like. There's Adam Kramer.
pending legal review.
Adam Kramer's the farmer at our Head Creek farm here adjacent to the treatment plant. And we haven't had any issues with him. We've had a good experience.
That's not the person currently farming it?
Go ahead.
Or are those?
I don't know.
Or nobody's farming it now? I thought we had changed it so that we could change it.
Jerry, would you, well, first, can I have a motion?
So
Second.
I move we approve the highest bidder, which is Adam Kramer, pending legal review and review by the clerk treasurer, and of course, Jerry Jackson.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Jerry, could you explain to everybody where this land is?
This land is just south of Walmart, across the Boyd Boulevard from Arconic. It was purchased as a project, as a development opportunity. Arconic was interested in selling it, and in the meanwhile, we might as well cash rent it and make money while we can until we find an interested buyer.
How many acres was it, Jerry?
And how many acres, Jerry?
The tillable about 34. there's a fair amount of wetlands, another, geez, I don't know off the top of my head, another 30 or so acres. I think the total acres is close to 70. So 34 acres that are tillable and can be farmed.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you.
Nick Minnick, NIPSCO contract for gas service 710 Daytona Street.
At your last meeting, you approved the electrical contract for service at the new fire station property. This is the gas contract, very similar, $0 amount to the city, but it is the contract that will serve the new fire station with gas.
Nick, are you on speaker? Are you
I
on?
am. I'm on.
There, I think that's better.
Yep.
There you go, that's better.
Okay.
Okay, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Nick Minnick got a 3-0 without 20 questions.
We're
Unbelievable.
saving our energy for the next matter.
Consultant, LPA contract, Park Street, Troyer Group.
Okay. Also, at the last Board of Works meeting, you approved moving forward with the highest scoring firm. That was Troyer Group for our Park Street project. We've been working through getting those scores approved by INDOT and then working on the contract with Troyer Group. The contract is still draft, and we need to finalize the attachments, which would include detailed cost breakdowns and hourly breakdowns for the kind of detailed scope of work. We do have the front end of the contract prepared, and I would ask that you would consider approving the contract pending legal engineering, and then if you all would like to have another chance to look at the attachments, that'd be great too. But if we wait until the next meeting, we won't be able to get this in by the May 1st deadline. And that's when we need to get everything in order to secure our federal funds for this. So I would recommend approval pending additional review of attachments that are forthcoming.
So do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. So this is 80/20 federal funds to do the Park Street, and
Correct.
the contract value states 97,500. What, is that our portion?
No, that is the total contract amount. So our portion is only 20% of that.
And so those dollars will come out of,
Those dollars come out of major moves.
okay,
Did he say major moves?
major moves.
Yeah.
And then we will also,
$20,000.
Almost 20, yeah.
and then the contract for construction will be 860, the design,
Correct.
860,000.
Estimated construction cost is $860, and then our design cost is $97,500.
Which will also come out of major moves. Or no, I see what you're saying, okay.
Yeah, so construction wouldn't necessarily come out of major moves. We use major moves as our match quite often on this type of project, but there are other eligible funds that we could be using, and the construction portion of this won't actually begin for another at least 2 years. So we would reassess and look at what dollars are best suited for the project when that actually occurs.
And we would have an opportunity, if we didn't like something, what happens after May 1st on the contract?
We we can always adjust the contract. We can always do an amendment to the contract.
Okay.
It also states in here that everything within here for the consultant has to be approved by the city, so I felt more comfortable after reading that particular
Works.
statement. It specifies LPA, which is City of LaPorte, Local Public Agency, LPA.
Which will be us three. Great.
Right,
Other
and s-
questions?
Well, and just so also, because it is using federal money, it's also, so it also has to be NDOT approved, correct? So,
So Nick, this also has to be, NDOT will put their stamp of approval on this once completed.
Correct, yeah. So what the attachment in the appendix will include, cost breakdown, and it's a very kind of detailed system that NDOT uses where they've assessed, estimated overhead and allow for a certain amount of profit, and have approved rates for each person that'll work on the project. So NDOT will also review all that information and ensure that the prices that we're looking at are fair and appropriate for the project.
so I mean, kind of in a nutshell, basically because of these various protections that like Jessica outlined and with NDOT, so well, basically, so we've got some assurances and some guidance here to make sure that anything that does come up, we've got a couple different checks and balances on this.
We
going
have
forward.
some assurances on checks and balances through this process here that we're protected.
Yes, yep, correct.
Great. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you.
Unfinished business. I guess part of the discussion we're having now with the governor of Indiana, opening up Indiana, our state is, what do we do from a city perspective? And I think you'll see that all of us are being very cautious on what we open, how we open. One of the things that has, and I guess I'll let the clerk treasurer tell you about, the tremendous amount of help that's been taking place to our residents from the clerk treasurer's office through water, utilities, and people not, so used to coming in the building and being able to work by phone and email.
Yeah,
It's
so
working.
we've been able to help over 300 residents remotely with anything related to the utility billing office. So I feel like that's a positive, that's a movement in the right direction of kind of steering people to a, I guess, more cashless system. But also, there are other options if you're not available to make payments online. We still have drop boxes outside of City Hall that we're checking 3 times a day right now because we're not open to the public. We're open, but the doors are not open. So yeah, just kind of changing the way we've done business here at City Hall, and we look forward to continue that forward movement.
Big shout out to Courtney and the team, because again, the last thing people want to have to do is come to City Hall, pay a bill, and we need to keep our employees safe of the interaction with cash and so forth. So I don't think you'll see in May an early turnaround to start opening up the doors, but still be accessible and available.
It's a great testament to your ability to be flexible and make sure that everybody feels comfortable and confident that when they pay, it's getting applied to their bill and, not lost in the shuffle, so.
We are
yeah,
lucky to have
kudos.
a really good, flexible, creative team here. Everybody's putting their heads together and thinking of different ways to do things, so it's everyone at City Hall that's doing all the hard work, so credit all goes to them.
Yeah, kudos. I heard you on the radio earlier this week, and I was caught off guard that not everyone was on direct deposit. I really, honestly,
No, you are now.
I couldn't believe that. I mean, really, because prior, companies I've worked for, like, that was a requirement going back, 10-plus years. So kudos for that. Really well
Here
done.
we are.
Yeah.
Welcome to 2020.
And we're encouraging everybody.
Joni Lehman was
monthly-
also on the radio.
Yeah, Joni, she did a great job as well, but we are encouraging all our residents to get put on direct deposit, monthly, even monthly draw,
Auto debit
auto debit on
or
a monthly basis.
online payments, yeah, yeah.
Save yourself the
shaking
time
his
and
head no.
hassle. I'm sure Roger's not on, Roger Galloway's not on. automatic withdrawal. But maybe we'll sign him up while he's here.
That's okay, Roger, we'll just still take your money.
So regarding that, any questions, thoughts?
Mayor, we have a couple questions.
You do have questions? Go ahead.
Facebook, it looks like. Somebody asked about the Ziegler Road, the county facility, and, sometimes people are confused. That's not our facility, and the county's abiding by the restrictions from the governor. Know a lot of people in the city use it, but it's not open right now. We're hoping the county will open it soon, but they've got to make decisions based off of the advice they're getting.
Correct, and so the county has considered that a non-essential business. They are going to keep that closed following the governor's orders, which I think will go till May 1st. So your yard waste, try to store it at your home, and once it's open, I'm sure we'll have a line.
Tammy Lynn Kusin asks about resetting the timers on some of the lights on Lincoln Way, and I think one of the things I learned when I became the city attorney, we don't have control over that. That's actually NDOT controlled the lights along Lincoln Way and Indiana Ave, and so, for example, just getting their fire station the ability to have control over that is difficult. So, wish we could do something about that, but that's outside of the city's control. Nobody asked about this, but I always bring it up about spring cleaning because I know, just personally, I was doing a lot of cleaning, but that's been delayed. Is that correct?
Correct, and we will work towards a date once we have a better feel for what's happening sometime in May or June.
We could just leave it at Nick's house until then.
I think that was pretty much it.
And then Tom Casey, our new planner director of development, is also working on, which I'm excited about, some sign ordinances and also billboards, so that we don't want, if you see the progressive communities, they're eliminating billboards, eliminating a lot of the large signs and so forth. And so we're going to be looking at ordinances that eventually lead to, what do we call it, sightline? Everybody on the same sightline? And not billboards everywhere throughout the community, which I think is a great thing, and fully support working on this together. So with that, any other questions? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn. We are adjourned. Or I guess all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. We are adjourned.